нас...
Нет,
Да, уже на месте. Сейчас, одну секундочку, сейчас. Где? Я хочу попросить моего африканского родственника и итальянского нашего друга. Подойти сюда.
This is my video update on this Thursday midday, March the 7th. Let's talk about some news. And this evening in the United States, we have the State of the Union address from US President Joe Biden. And everyone is wondering, everyone is curious. I know I am curious as to whether Joe Biden will be able to speak to the American people for 1 hour, give or take, uninterrupted, without having some sort of meltdown or freeze or Dark Brandon moment. Everyone is asking the question, will Biden be able to speak to the American people for 1 hour without making a fool of himself? So it's going to be an interesting night in the United States with the State of the Union address from Joe Biden. And I believe it was the last State of the Union. Was it the last State of the Union? I believe it was the last State of the Union when Biden went into Dark Brandon mode and he started to yell, who wants to be like Xi Jinping? Name me one world leader that wants to be like Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one. I think that was the last State of the Union that Biden gave when he had that Xi Jinping meltdown. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting evening in the United States. I wonder how they are preparing Joe Biden for this State of the Union. I wonder what they're pumping him up with so that they can get him through this speech and this event. It's going to be interesting to see how much Biden talks about domestic issues compared with foreign policy debacles that the Biden administration has committed the U.S. to. He's going to definitely talk about Project Ukraine, no doubt about it. He's going to definitely talk about the stalled $61 billion that he's trying to get to Project Ukraine. I wonder if he's going to talk about the southern border. I imagine he's going to try and tie the southern border into Project Ukraine and the $61 billion to the Elensky regime. But I think that Ukraine is going to be a major focus of Biden's speech this evening. But I am curious to see how much he talks about domestic U.S. issues compared with foreign policy stuff, because Project Ukraine is number one on Biden's mind. If you want to say that Biden still has a mind that's functioning, but yeah, they're going to talk about Project Ukraine a whole lot, and I imagine he's going to tie it into the southern border. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting evening. I believe Tucker Carlson is going to actually be live streaming the State of the Union, or his coverage of the State of the Union is going to be as a live stream. That'll be interesting to watch, to get Tucker Carlson's take on Biden's speech. So yeah, we're in for a very, very interesting evening in the United States. And sticking with Project Ukraine, we have the National Interest, which is one of the big neocon publications. I believe it's the National Interest, Foreign Policy, Foreign Affairs, as well as The Economist. I believe that those are the big four neocon publications. But they put out an article with the title, M1 Abrams tanks are being destroyed in Ukraine by Russia. Wow. What an admission from the National Interest. And yesterday we had another Abrams tank destroyed by the Russian military. This Abrams tank was destroyed by a Russian T-72B3 tank. And RIA Novosti, they put out video footage of the T-72 destroying an American M1 Abrams tank. And I believe this is the fourth or the fifth Abrams tank that has now been destroyed by the Russian military. So the Abrams tanks are meeting the same fate that the German Leopard tanks faced when they entered Project Ukraine. They are being destroyed by the Russian military. And we do have the images and the video footage of these Abrams tanks being destroyed by the Russian military, which is something that we're not getting from the claims made by the Ukraine military that they have downed something like 15 or 20 Su-34s over the last month. We have not received not one video or photo evidence or any type of receipts which back up the claims from the Ukraine military that they have been shooting down Su-34s. In the case of the Abrams tanks being destroyed, we are getting the receipts, and we are getting the evidence that those Abrams tanks are being destroyed by the Russian military. Anyway, in Ukraine, in Odessa yesterday, we had an event taking place with Elensky and Greek Prime Minister Mitsotakis. And during this event that they were holding in Odessa, a Russian missile hit some military infrastructure nearby. Greek media is saying that the explosion that took place, this missile that hit military infrastructure in Odessa, was something like 500 meters away from where Elensky and Mitsotakis were holding this event in Odessa. From what I understand, the Russians, they hit an area where Ukraine was fitting unmanned boats, drones with explosives. Those are the early reports as to what Russia was targeting in the Odessa region. The naval drones that they used to hit Russian ships, to attack Russian ships in the Black Sea. From what I understand, that's what this missile was targeting, and that's what this missile destroyed. But anyway, Mitsotakis, he traveled to Ukraine yesterday. He went to Odessa. He was there for about 45 minutes. The Prime Minister of Greece and him and Elensky, they were holding an event in Odessa. And as the event was finishing and they were speaking to the media, this ballistic missile, it hit this military infrastructure in Odessa. According to Greek mainstream media, 500 meters away from where Mitsotakis and Elensky were. And they got in their car and they went away, and that was it. From what I understand, at least no one at this event was injured or killed or was at any moment in danger. I don't know. That was it. That was what happened yesterday. But the collective West media and the Greek mainstream media, or some Greek mainstream media, like Protothema or Kafimerini, they're trying to make this out to be like some sort of Russian provocation, and some media is even hinting at Russia trying to assassinate Elensky when the Greek Prime Minister was with him in Odessa, which is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. If there's one person that the Russian military does not want to take out at this moment in time, it's Elensky. If you want to be safe from the Russian military right now at this moment in time, then be very close to Elensky. Be next to Elensky, and you will be safe from the Russian military. If you're going to be safe from other bad actors, that I don't know. But if you want to be safe from the Russian military, then stand next to Elensky, because Elensky, at this moment in time, for the Russian military, for the Russian government, as they fight this conflict with the collective West, with the NATO proxy, Elensky is a gift for them. They could not have asked for a more incompetent opponent in this conflict than Elensky, than the little green man. So that's the last person that the Russian military wants to take out at this moment in time. So I imagine that Mitsotakis and everyone that was with Mitsotakis was very, very safe from the Russian military standing next to Elensky. But still, the mainstream media, they're making it out to be some sort of provocation or assassination attempt aimed at Elensky. So they're absolutely playing up this missile strike that occurred in Odessa. Anyway, here is what. Let me read you what Mitsotakis said to the media. This is what he said during the event, and then I'll read you a quote that he made after the missile strike. So during the event, Mitsotakis said, my presence here reflects the respect of the entire free world for your people and underlines Greece's commitment to remain by your side. The entire free world. The collective West is the entire free world. The global majority, Mitsotakis has no idea what the global majority is. But for him, Europe and the United States, Canada, Australia, that's the entire free world, according to Mitsotakis. Maybe he's right. Maybe that is the entire free world. But after the Russians launched these missiles in Odessa, this is what the Greek prime minister said. He said, the delegations were getting into their vehicles when they heard the blast, which Mitsotakis called a vivid reminder that Odessa is gripped by the war with Russia. It is one thing to hear about the war and quite another to experience war firsthand. So that is what Mitsotakis said after the missile strike in Odessa. And Elensky, he said that the explosion caused an unknown number of dead and wounded. You see who we're dealing with. They don't care where to hit, Elensky told reporters. Now, just to be clear, when Elensky says that this missile strike caused an unknown number of dead and wounded, there was no one dead or wounded at this event. He's talking about this military infrastructure, or at least the Russians claim that they hit military infrastructure. He's saying that that's where you have this unknown number of dead and wounded. At this event, there were no dead and wounded. So I just want to make that clear. But look, Mitsotakis, I'm positive that the Greek government and Mitsotakis' his administration, they contacted the Russian embassy in Athens, and I'm sure that they told the Russians, we're going to go to Odessa because we want to have this PR event in Odessa, and that's what this was, a PR event in Odessa with Elensky. So we're just letting you know that we're going to be going to Ukraine and to Odessa. Is that cool? And I'm sure the Russian embassy or the Russian government, through the embassy in Athens, I'm positive that they told the Mitsotakis administration, look, you can go to Ukraine. That's fine, but we probably recommend you don't go to Odessa because we have some military operations going down in Odessa, and we would probably recommend that you don't go there. But if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Go to Odessa, do your event for 45 minutes. But I imagine the Russian embassy in Greece probably said we don't recommend you going there at this moment in time. But if you want to go there with Elensky, if you're going to be next to Elensky, they probably said if you're going to be next to Elensky, well, then you're probably going to be safe. I'm sure that's what the embassy told the Mitsotakis administration. If you're going to be standing next to Elensky, you're going to be 100% safe. So go to Odessa. Just make sure that you're always next to Elensky. I'm sure they told him something like that. But yeah, so the Russians, they know where Elensky is. They know where he's moving around, and believe me, that's the last person that they want to take out at this moment in time. So this kind of reminds me of of the Baerbock incident, doesn't it? Where she went to the Odessa region and she was being chased down by a Russian drone. Allegedly, she was being hunted down by a Russian drone. And according to Bild, a reporter from Bild who was with Annalena in the Odessa region, Annalena told everybody, "Quick, to the cars," she said. And she saved everybody. She said, "Quick, get to the cars. This Russian drone is targeting us." And Annalena saved everybody's life during her visit to the Odessa region. But why are they going to Odessa? Why are they going to Odessa? And this was a media PR optics event, because I've seen the photos from Protothema, the Greek publication that was covering this event. And, you know, Mitsotakis and Elensky, they're speaking to like a crowd of reporters. I mean, we're not talking about like 3 or 4 people at this event. I mean, from the photos, I'm looking at the photos right now. I'll put a photo on the screen right now. I mean, we're talking about what, 50 to 100 people, maybe even more at this event. So, I mean, this wasn't like Mitsotakis and Elensky going to Odessa in secret and just kind of checking things out. This was a planned media event, even though they say this was a surprise visit. That's what the Elensky government is saying. This was all a surprise. That's nonsense. Russia knew that they were going to go there. This was no surprise. Like 50 people or 100 people knew that they were going to go to this area in Odessa, and they had the mics out, and this was a planned media PR optics event. So you know, why are they putting so much focus on Odessa? Baerbock, when she was in Odessa, she had Bild reporters with her, so obviously she wanted the reporters to be there with her as this Russian drone was hunting her down. They want to put focus on Odessa. They want to put focus on Odessa. That's what this is all about, in my opinion. And the reason they want to put focus on Odessa is because the European Union and the collective West, the globalists, NATO, they are panicking about a Russian advance towards Odessa. It's that simple. They are very, very worried that, given the fact that the front in Donbass, in the Avdiivka area and Bakhmut, is collapsing, they're very worried that Odessa is next. And there's really not much to stop the Russians, if they want, if the Russian military wants to. There's really not much to stop the Russians from advancing further west. And they're very worried that one of the targets of the Russian military will be Odessa. And so Baerbock goes there with the Bild reporters, and Russian drones are chasing her down, and they report this. And now you have Mitsotakis going to Odessa for 45 minutes, and the Russians hit a military target, which they absolutely did. They absolutely hit a military target. Maybe it was 500 meters from where Mitsotakis and Elensky were. Maybe it was 2,000 meters from where they were. I don't know. But yeah, the Russians absolutely hit a military target in Odessa. But Mitsotakis, I'm positive that the Greek government was 100% certain that Mitsotakis standing next to Elensky in Odessa would not have put his life in danger. There's no way that the Greek government would have said, okay, Mitsotakis, Kyriakos, let's go to Odessa, but you might not make it out of there. It's 50-50. Come on, that didn't happen. I'm sure that they said, okay, we're going to be next to Elensky. The Russian government told us to stand next to Elensky, and we're going to be safe, so we're going to go there, and we're going to do this 45-minute event, in and out, and everything is going to be okay. But now they have the narrative of Russia trying to assassinate Elensky, and this was a big provocation on the part of the Russian military, and it all went down in Odessa. It all happened in Odessa, just like when Baerbock was in Odessa. They're freaked out about a Russian advance in Odessa, and a lot of mainstream media outlets are actually reporting on how the Russians are going to be planning an advance, how the Russian military is going to be advancing to the west. And they're saying that Kiev and Odessa are going to be the two big areas where this Russian advance is going to be focused on. I don't know if that's true. I don't think so. I think at this point in time, Odessa is still not part of the Russian plan. Eventually, yes. Eventually, Russia will get to Odessa, but I don't think it's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months, unless, of course, you have just a complete collapse in Kiev, some sort of regime change, or just like an Afghanistan type of collapse, which is possible, given Victoria Nuland's replacement. I talked about this in my video yesterday. But the mainstream media is talking about Russia advancing to the west as well. And then this is freaking everybody out. So that's why you're having all of these collective West leaders specifically go to the Odessa region. They want to place focus on Odessa because they're worried about what the Russian military might do next. And so staying with the European Union and their freakout over Project Ukraine, they are very, very worried about the ammunition situation in Ukraine. And we have this initiative from the Czech President Pavel to get 800,000 artillery shells to Ukraine. And so the European Union, they're going to run around the world, and they're going to purchase 800,000 shells from various suppliers. Governments, various governments who have these shells, arms dealers. They're just going to cobble together 800,000 shells. It's going to be very, very expensive. And a lot of these shells are old. And a lot of these shells are going to be duds. and that's just going to be the reality of the situation. And the European Union is going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for these shells, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 per shell. It's going to be crazy expensive, and these are going to be some old shells that they're going to get. But this is what's really worrying them is the fact that the United States has not been able to get 61 billion to the Elensky regime. The EU has come out and said that they just can't produce the shells at a rate that can match what Russia is producing. The United States has pretty much said the same. They can't match what Russia is producing when it comes to artillery shells. And so the plan B or the plan C is coming from Pavel, and that is 800,000 shells bought collectively by the European Union. Bloomberg is reporting Ukraine's allies line up funds for 800,000 artillery shells. The ammunition could reach Ukraine in a matter of weeks. The Czech Republic has identified 800,000 rounds for purchase. So this is the next wonder weapon, in my opinion. This is the next wonder weapon. Will these artillery shells, these 800,000 artillery shells, will they make a difference? Nope, they're not going to make a difference. Will they buy Ukraine some time? Yeah, they'll probably buy some time. But more importantly, for the collective West, they'll buy some hope, because that's all they have left now is hope. That's all they have left to sell is hope. Hope that if we can last another week or 2 or 3, then maybe something's going to happen, which will change the trajectory of the war. But more importantly for the EU, I was thinking about this as I was reading this Bloomberg story about the artillery shells. More important for the EU is the fact that they're going to be buying these shells collectively. That's more important for the European Union, because it feeds into the narrative of EU member states coming together to purchase military equipment. And this is just one more step towards getting to a collective EU defense budget, and one more step to war bonds, and one more step to EU direct taxation in order to fuel the European Union's new military machine that Ursula is putting together, right? So I think that's what's more important for the European Union, is to get people used to the idea of coming together as EU member states to make military purchases. I think that's the real story behind the story here with these artillery shells. But we are going to get in 2024, since we're talking about buying time and buying hope, we are going to be getting a Ukraine 2024 super duper counter to the counter offensive. Yep, we are going to be getting another counter offensive, a counter to the counter offensive that offends me and offends you and defends everybody. And the State Department spokesman, Matthew Miller, he was asked by reporters yesterday to comment on Nuland's surprises that await Russia in 2024. Miller was asked whether the U.S. government shares this sentiment more than a month after it was expressed by Nuland. Quote, "We believe that Ukraine has a plan that they can execute to achieve victories on the battlefield," Miller replied. The spokesman cited Ukrainian claims that it sank a Russian patrol ship in the Black Sea this week as an example of Kiev's successes. The Russian Defense Ministry has not commented on the reports, and Miller also told reporters that, yes, there is going to be some battlefield successes in 2024, and he was hinting at another counteroffensive, a 2024 counteroffensive. I wonder if the sun is hitting the camera as I'm facing this way. So Ukraine is preparing a counteroffensive, and we had a 2024 counteroffensive, and we had an ICTV interview with a Ukraine Lieutenant General Alexander Pavlyuk, who said that the most pressing goal is to stop the Russian advance and to regroup Ukrainian units so that the battered forces could be pulled back from the front line and replenished. It would then allow to create a strike group and carry out counter-strike actions. I think we will stabilize the situation shortly, Pavlyuk said, adding that the command is trying to do everything possible to prepare the troops for more active actions and to seize the initiative. To seize the initiative in 2024. And the Institute for the Study of War, once again, the Nuland connected think tank, the Institute for the Study of War, they're also talking about a 2024 counter to the counter of the counter offensive. And the Institute for the Study of War, they are saying that delays in Western aid will postpone Ukrainian efforts to regain initiative as Ukraine prepares a counteroffensive action in 2024. Continued delays in Western security assistance could postpone the efforts to regain a theater-wide initiative against Russia, the ISW assessed in their daily report on March 6th. So yeah, all of this artillery shell delay and 61 billion delay, yes, it is postponing the 2024 counteroffensive, but make no mistake about it, there is going to be a 2024 super-duper counteroffensive. A strike group, as the Ukraine Lieutenant General said. They are going to seize the initiative and create a strike group. And we already know the plan. The plan is the south of Ukraine into Zaporozhye, Kherson, get to Tokmak, get to Melitopol, get to the Sea of Azov, and threaten Crimea. We already know the plan, and that is what the 2024 counteroffensive is going to be. Or maybe they'll call this the 2024 strike group counteroffensive. I don't know. We'll see what interesting name they give this new counteroffensive. But yeah, confirmed by the U.S. State Department, confirmed by a Ukraine lieutenant general, and confirmed by the Nuland Connected Institute for the Study of War. So Mitsotakis, after the Greek prime minister, after his 45-minute trip to Odessa, he then went to Bucharest, Romania, where the EPP conference was taking place. What is the EPP? The EPP is Europe's biggest political grouping. It is an umbrella group of political parties in Europe, and they call themselves the EPP. And this is the umbrella group which will nominate Ursula for her second term as the European Union Commission President. And that is what is taking place, I believe, yesterday and today. I believe today they are going to officially say that they want Ursula von der Crazy to be the Commission President for a second year. And so this EPP is basically a way for the European Union to make believe that they're engaging in democracy. That's basically what this is. So you get these in the European Union. You get these types of umbrella parties, which is a group name which has a lot of political parties throughout the European Union connected to this group name. And in this instance, it's the EPP, and the EPP represents various political parties throughout the European Union, and they're going to nominate their candidate for the Commission President. And you have other groupings, other umbrella groups, which represents other political parties in the European Union. They're going to nominate their person for Commission President. But the EPP is the largest, most represented group in the European Union, in the European Union Parliament, and so they're going to nominate Ursula for a second term. Today, they're going to make it official. And Mitsotakis and the New Democracy Party, they're part of the EPP. So it's make-believe democracy. Or maybe it's just the way the globalist elites, it's the way they see democracy. Maybe this is their definition of democracy. It's not so much about people, the people electing their representatives in government. It's more about the institutions anointing people into government. That's their definition of democracy. And so Ursula, a second term is coming for Ursula von der Leyen. And as they're holding this EPP event in Bucharest to nominate Ursula, the European Union is melting down. It is melting down, at least with the farmers. With the farmers, things are getting out of control. In Poland, you had farmers protesting and clashing with police, and things got very, very violent and very ugly. The police were firing tear gas at farmers, and it was just a bad situation in Poland. But the farmers, they continue to protest, and they continue to voice their anger towards the European Union and the EU policies with regards to Project Ukraine and all of the green ideology and green initiatives that the EU is trying to force on farmers and on citizens. And this is just the beginning. What happened in Poland is just the beginning of the unrest that is going to happen across Europe over the next year or two or three. Over Ursula's second term, what you saw in Poland is just the beginning. We're going to see a lot of unrest unfolding as Ursula begins her second term as EU Commissioner. So let's do some clown worlds. How am I doing on time here? Yeah, we got to do some clown worlds because I got a lot of clown worlds today. So let's begin with John Kerry. John Kerry told the media yesterday that people would feel better about the war in Ukraine if Russia would make a greater effort to reduce emissions. That is what the Ketchup King told the media yesterday. Well, you know, he is the climate czar, but Kerry left out the U.S. and the U.K. Cluster munitions and depleted uranium and stuff like that they handed to the Ukraine military. He didn't want to talk about the U.S. and the U.K. depleted uranium and its effects on the environment and on agriculture and on the soil and stuff like that. Nope. Kerry did not mention any of that. But he said, you know, people would feel better if Russia would make a greater effort to reduce its emissions in this conflict. So Bild is reporting that Putin may have sex videos of German politicians. This is coming from Bild. Does Putin have sex videos of German politicians? That is the question that Bild is asking. Does he? I don't know. Probably. Probably. Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? But, you know, when Bild puts out a story like this and they ask the question, does Putin have videos of German politicians, these types of videos of German politicians? What I read is some projection, an admission from Bild that there are forces, perhaps in the German permanent state or deep state or elsewhere, which absolutely have videos of German politicians in very compromising positions. Whenever they say Putin is doing it, all they're doing is admitting or projecting that they're the ones that are actually doing it, or in this case, they're the ones that actually have these types of videos of politicians. So that was the article from Bild, and now we get to what is probably our main clown world story. I can't confirm this clown world, but it looks legit. According to various reports, Tchaikovsky Street in Kiev will be renamed Victoria Nuland Street. This order was signed by Mayor Klitschko. And this looks like an official document or an official order by the Rada, where they're going to rename Tchaikovsky Street to Victoria Nuland Street. I don't know. Maybe this is fake. Maybe this is real. I have no idea. But if this is real, then wow. wow. Anyway, that is the video, everybody. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odysee, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and Twitter X. And go to the Duran shop, 15% off all t-shirts. Take care.